Ray Ford here, Young Adult Associate at Euclid Public Library, here on a quick check-in. Just to give you a quick rundown of a couple books that I've read since we've been on our hiatus, and a couple of TV shows that I've also watched. The first is my favorite book that I've read so far. It's called The Assistant by Bernard Malamud. And if you're not familiar with the author, he's the one that actually wrote The Natural, and there was also a film adaptation of The Natural produced in the 80s, and where Robert Redford played the main character. Another book that I've read that kind of sticks out is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. These are both novels that I normally would not choose for myself. Someone else sort of chose them for me, and but I enjoyed them nonetheless. So I do recommend these two if you've not read them ever or in a while. Also, I watched The Runaways, the first 2 seasons of Marvel's The Runaways, which is an excellent series if you're into the Marvel Universe. Also, Lock and Key. I watched that on Netflix, and both of these, The Runaways and Lock and Key, are originally graphic novel series. Now, The Runaways, I've read volume 1 and 2, which was excellent, so I recommend that as well. And the Lock and Key, I haven't read that graphic novel series yet, but it is on my list. So something else that I've done, and I'm gonna run it down for you. I am a huge music enthusiast. Some of you know that. Those of you that I've spoken to in the library, you know that music is like at my core. And not only is music there, I'm a huge record collector. I love vinyl. So one day I'm in the basement with my record collection, organizing it, and I'm, running through the titles and putting them in order. And then all of a sudden it dawns on me. I said, I wonder how Hoopla would compare to my record collection. Could I find some of these titles or any of these titles in Hoopla? And I will say this before we begin and before I show you what I did. Hoopla has a wonderful music and a wide variety of music digital collection. But I thought that I would test it because my record collection is pretty vast. It's at least 2,000 records right now, and that's just a ballpark. So I closed my eyes and I chose about 10 records just to see, random, to see if I could find them on Hoopla. And the first one I came up with was Aretha Franklin's first recording on Atlantic Records. I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. Could I find it on Hoopla? The answer, yes. The second, and this was kind of near and dear to my heart because artist that most of us love, a pop icon, Prince. But not Purple Rain. That's easy. That would be too easy. Parade, which is the album that has the song Kiss on it and is the soundtrack for his movie Under the Cherry Moon. You would normally recognize it like this because the album cover actually is sideways. The picture, that is. So, could I find it on Hoopla? Again, the answer is yes. So, we're 2 for 2 so far. Next, I picked Black Sabbath. We sold our soul for rock and roll. My favorite song on here is War Pigs, by the way. But could I find it on Hoopla? The answer again, yes. Next, I'm a huge jazz fan. And John Coltrane and Miles Davis are 2 of not only my favorites, but many others' favorites. But one of my favorite records by John Coltrane is actually made with the singer Johnny Hartman. But could I find it on Hoopla? This is not one of the records that you normally hear people talk about that John Coltrane made, although it is a classic. But could I find it on Hoopla? The answer, yes, I absolutely could. So right now, what we have covered rock, we have covered jazz, we have covered pop. But then there's one of the biggest pop icons of all, Madonna. Her first album, Like a Virgin. But could I find it on Hoopla? The answer, Yes, I could. So we are really rolling here, and I'm really impressed. And I'm doing this to show you how vast and how complete our Hoopla music collection is. Whenever I go to classrooms and visit students, believe it or not, I always mention how much I love music. And I always mention that Hoopla, you can find all of the new stuff, the current and contemporary artists, they're pretty much all there on the day that their records come out. But the beauty of it as a library tool, is that you can go and find stuff from years gone by and then further educate yourself and gain knowledge that way. So I have 3 more records that I decided that I wanted to know if Hoopla had. Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. Excuse the bottom part, it got wet, and so the album cover kind of got damaged. But did Hoopla have it? Yes, Hoopla did have it. So we've covered pop, we've covered jazz, we've covered rock, and I'm having a good time all the way around. So then I decided to get challenging to Hoopla. Now, let's see. One of my favorite pianists of all time is Ahmad Jamal. And this is my favorite record that he's ever made. Ahmad Jamal at the Pershing. It's a hotel in Chicago. 1958, I believe, this recording came out. But could I find it on Hoopla? The answer, absolutely, you could. So, last one, and it's the biggest one of all. Led Zeppelin. Now this, what I'm holding, is the 6 LP set, meaning records. It's the vinyl set. But could I find it on Hoopla? No, you can't. You cannot find this particular set on Hoopla, but what you can find are the individual albums that this greatest hits set comes from. So Led Zeppelin 2, 3, 4, you can find Physical Graffiti on there. So yes, we're gonna have to go with a yes on this as well. So ironically, this is what I do when I'm at home. Yes, I love music. I'm a huge music enthusiast, and this is just one of the activities that I kind of just came up with, in between my reading, in between my watching. This is just one of the activities that I came up with to sort of challenge Hoopla. We'll call it the Hoopla Challenge. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go to Hoopla and enjoy some great music, and we'll talk to you soon.